So you need a horror movie to watch this weekend, but you don't want to spend hours doom scrolling trying to find a good one. If that sounds like you, you're in the right place. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 10 horror movies currently streaming on Peacock that are well worth your time. We've got a fantastic body-swapping horror comedy, a cosmic horror that will have your head spinning, and a slasher flick from the 2020s that every fan of the Scream franchise should watch ASAP. This is Nonstop Horror, your new favorite spot for fun, exciting, and informative horror content. Make sure to like the video, send it to your horror movie buddy, and subscribe if you enjoy talking about horror movies all year long. And if you don't want to wait until my next video talking about a streaming service you're subscribed to, make sure to sign up for the Nonstop Horror newsletter, where you'll receive only the best horror movie recommendations delivered straight to your inbox every week. You're probably watching on a TV right now, so scan the QR code with your phone's camera. It'll take you to the page to sign up, or you can just go to nonstophorror.com/newsletter. Enough yapping, let's get to the list. The Hunt is an action horror film that is a satire about the political divide between the American left and right, but before you judge the film based on that, know that the film isn't so much about a particular political stance and more so about making fun of everybody on both sides. Plenty of jabs at both the right and the left. 12 strangers wake up in a clearing. They don't know where they are or how they got there. They don't know they've been chosen for a very specific purpose. In the movie, a group of elites have kidnapped working class people to hunt them. Anyone want to play the most dangerous game? The elitist's master plan is about to be derailed when one of the hunted turns the tables on her pursuers. Now, the hunt isn't inherently scary, but it is extremely violent, and it immediately puts you on edge with its opening scene. It has a stacked cast including Betty Gilpin, Hilary Swank, Ike Barinholtz, Emma Roberts, Amy Madigan, Ethan Suplee, and others. And Betty Gilpin brings her A-game in this, becoming a fantastic modern final girl. She plays the one who turns the tables on her pursuers. Think of this as the love child between The Most Dangerous Game and Ready or Not, but with a sprinkle of battle royale in there too. The movie moves at a brisk pace, clocking in at under 90 minutes, and it never really slows down. Between the ridiculous kills, the sharp dialogue, and the escalating absurdity of the situation, it's the kind of horror movie that's incredibly easy to throw on and have a blast with. The Hunt severely suffered from two separate incidents when it came out, the first being that its original theatrical release of September 2019 had to be rescheduled due to mass shootings, and it was rescheduled to March of 2020. The box office results tanked because of the COVID-19 pandemic, so it didn't get the recognition it deserved when it first came out, but believe me, it's well worth your time. Nope breathed some fresh air into the alien horror subgenre a couple of years ago, and it's directed by everybody's favorite Jordan Peele, and stars Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Steven Yeun. Kaluuya and Palmer play siblings who are trying to keep their family farm afloat, but then weird stuff starts happening, like UFO in the sky kind of weird. Instead of running for the hills like sane people, they decide to stick around and find out what's going on. Fantastic idea. Any Peele fan knows his movies are oozing with social commentary, and Nope is no different. It's got everything from UFOs all the way to Hollywood satire, and let's not forget the killer cinematography by Hoyt van Hoytema. The whole thing just looks like it was shot in a dream, or maybe in this case, a nightmare. If you're not sold yet, Peele cited King Kong, Jurassic Park, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Signs, and The Wizard of Oz, weirdly enough, as influences on the film. Sign me the fuck up. So if you're into slow burn, suspenseful, beautiful films about aliens, then Nope is a must-see. It's weird, it's wild, and it's got some of the best moments in modern horror memory. The Lazarus Effect is a supernatural science gone wrong horror movie that asks a very simple question. What happens when scientists figure out how to bring the dead back to life, and it turns out that they maybe shouldn't have? Has there ever been a movie where that was a good idea? I can't think of any. The film follows a team of medical researchers who develop a serum designed to restart brain activity in dead patients. They successfully test it on animals and think they're on the brink of one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs in human history. However, an accident leads to them testing the serum on one of their own, and whatever came back from the dead isn't exactly the same person who died. One of the fun things about this movie is the cast: Olivia Wilde, Mark Duplass, Evan Peters, Sarah Bolger, Donald Glover. Hot damn, if I were to be stuck in any horror movie with the cast of that movie, this one ain't bad. It's a pretty stacked cast for a smaller scale horror movie. Everyone plays the material fairly straight, which actually helps sell the increasingly strange things happening around them. This is basically what would happen if Flatliners had a baby with The Autopsy of Jane Doe. We've got the team of scientists pushing the boundaries of death while also incorporating that reanimation of the dead concept. So we can throw Pet Sematary in there as well. The film leans into one of my favorite themes in movies, which is humanity playing God, and it's tense, tight, and claustrophobic, which makes the supernatural aspect even more unsettling. The Lazarus Effect doesn't reinvent the wheel by any means. It kind of leans into trashy horror territory at times, but it is a quick 80 minutes and is perfect for fans of contained horror about dangerous experiments and the consequences of tampering with life and death. If we have any fans of Bill Skarsgård or Micah Monroe in the building, listen up. Sometimes horror works best when it doesn't take itself too seriously. That's exactly what Villains delivers, a dark, twisted horror comedy that keeps you on edge while making you laugh at the same time. The film follows Mickey and Jules, played by Skarsgård and Monroe respectively, a young couple on the run after a botched robbery. Their car breaks down, forcing them to seek shelter in what appears to be an abandoned house. But instead of finding a safe haven, they stumble upon a horrifying secret hidden in the basement. And they soon realize the homeowners are far more dangerous than they are. Jeffrey Donovan and Kyra Sedgwick play the seemingly normal suburban couple who own the house, and let's just say they're not what they seem. As Mickey and Jules try to escape, the story takes unexpected twists, blending tension, humor, and sheer chaos. What makes Villains stand out, in my opinion, is its ability to balance humor and horror without undercutting the tension. The chemistry between Skarsgård and Monroe is fantastic, making their characters both charming and relatable despite their criminal background. And Jeffrey Donovan just really steals the spotlight anytime he's on screen. The film also plays with audience expectations, like just when you think you know where it's going, it takes a sharp left turn into madness. So if you're a fan of movies like Ready or Not or Don't Breathe, this one is a must watch. It's a fast-paced, stylish, and wickedly fun ride that proves horror doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. Freaky is a wacky, body-swapping horror comedy directed by Christopher Landon, who has a nice little filmography under his belt so far, including writing and directing credits for the Paranormal Activity franchise, the Happy Death Day franchise. He wrote Hard Eyes from last year, directed Drop from last year. The dude is no stranger to horror, and Freaky kicked off his filmmaking in the 2020s. A mystical ancient dagger causes a notorious serial killer to magically switch bodies with a 17-year-old girl. Now, the notorious serial killer is played by Vince Vaughn, and the 17-year-old girl is played by Katherine Newton. And the movie is pretty much exactly what you would expect with that premise. Watching Vince Vaughn channeling a 17-year-old girl is like witnessing a comical train wreck from which you can't look away. There are plenty of homages to classic horror to the point that it feels cliche sometimes, but that just makes the movie lean into that comedy aspect of the film. There is a gnarly opening scene with some innovative kills and more kills throughout the entire runtime that will make any classic slasher fan drool. It's an overall kick-ass addition to the teen slasher subgenre. And the plot is obviously very close to movies like Freaky Friday, The Hot Chick, and other body-swapping movies, which they are not shy about as it's aptly titled Freaky. Apparently it was originally going to be called Freaky Friday the 13th, but that was a bit too on the nose, I guess. Go check it out if you're seeking a horror comedy flick to watch this weekend. If you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, make sure to like the video and subscribe to push us out to more horror fans. I know a lot of you are watching on a TV, but it's simple to like and subscribe. I know you can do it. I believe in you. Bonus mission, comment your favorite horror movie and let me know that you came from a TV and I'll shout you out in the next video. Yes, I know it's impossible to comment on YouTube from a TV, so it'll take a little bit of work to just pull up your history on your phone and leave a comment there, but I would really appreciate it and would help get this out to more horror fans. Director duo Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead brought us The Endless back in 2017, and it's a fantastic sci-fi cosmic horror movie. As is common in their films, Benson and Moorhead actually star as our main characters. They are these two brothers who, as kids, escaped a UFO death cult, and now as two adult brothers, they seek answers after an old videotape surfaces and brings them back to where they began in this cult. As they revisit this cult that they escaped, things just seem really off, and they can't really put their finger on why. Straight up, I'll say this movie leaves you with a lot of questions and will require a rewatch to really catch everything and put the pieces together. It's just an absolute mindfuck. You've got time warping, this cult mystery going on, and it just turns into cosmic horror juiciness by the end. If you're a fan of Benson and Moorhead's other work like Spring, Synchronic, which we're about to talk about, Resolution, Something in the Dirt, this one is a must watch. The Endless is an indie flick and definitely feels like it, so make sure that you're into that type of low-budget indie movie. It's definitely worth a watch going into it with that mindset. Now, if you're interested in more cosmic horror, I am working on a video that I'm tentatively calling Cosmic Horror 101, where I'm going to go in depth into the subgenre because it fascinates me. If you'd be interested in that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you know when that video comes out. So if you liked The Endless, you'll probably like this next movie as well, since it comes from the same filmmakers. Synchronic is a mind-bending sci-fi horror film that plays with time, perception, and reality itself, delivering one of the most unique horror experiences in recent years. The film follows two paramedics played by Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan, who begin encountering bizarre and inexplicable deaths across New Orleans. The victims all have one thing in common, a mysterious new designer drug called Synchronic. As the paramedics dig deeper, they uncover something terrifying. Synchronic doesn't just cause hallucinations, it alters time. The drug sends users into different points in history, but without any control over where or when they'll land. Some find themselves in prehistoric times, others in war zones, and many never return at all. It's like that bad acid trip you had that one time, except real. When Mackie's character takes the drug himself, he's thrown into a desperate race against time to solve the mystery before it's too late. And what follows is a fascinating, mind-warping journey filled with suspense, existential horror, and some truly breathtaking visuals. If you love films like Coherence or The Endless or Inception, Synchronic is a must-watch. It's horror, sci-fi, and mystery all rolled into one. How rare is it for the 10th movie in a horror franchise to actually be good? Super rare. It's rare for a franchise to even get to 10 movies. But Saw 10 went back to what we all wanted, more John Kramer while he was alive. They decided that for this installment to take us back to a time between Saw and Saw 2, John Kramer is traveling to Mexico in hopes that an experimental procedure may cure his terminal cancer. John later discovers that the operation he undergoes is a scam, prompting him to kidnap those responsible and subject them to his trademark death traps as retribution. So the two previous films, Spiral and Jigsaw, for some, not me personally, were stains on an otherwise very fun franchise, and interestingly, we have the same writers handling the screenplay for Saw 10, but different director. Kevin Gruder, who directed Saw 6 and Saw 3D, is back at the helm, and maybe he was the missing sauce from those previous two films. Saw 10 managed to reinvigorate a dying franchise, with some critics calling it the best installment since the first Saw movie. That is high praise right there. The editing is a little toned down, unfortunately, but the same cannot be said for the kills. They are as brutal and gory as ever. What can I say? It's a tight plot. It's going back to the roots of the first few Saw movies, so if you've seen those, you know what you're going to get. If you are avoiding this because it's the 10th movie in the franchise, stop being a dummy and go watch it. Sick is one of those movies that totally flew under the radar for most people, which is kind of wild considering who's behind it. The script was written by Kevin Williamson. Yeah, that Kevin Williamson, the guy who gave us Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and basically half the DNA of modern slashers. So when I tell you this movie has some serious Scream energy, I mean it. Set during the early days of the pandemic, Sick follows two college girls who retreat to a secluded lake house to quarantine and unwind. You think it's going to be a slow burn psychological thriller based on the setup, but nope, it kicks into high gear pretty quickly with a masked intruder, and from that point on, it's a full-on home invasion slasher. The kills are tight, brutal, and uncomfortably grounded, nothing too flashy, just raw and relentless. And what really elevates Sick is the choreography of the chase scenes. These sequences are shot so well with long takes and clever use of the environment. You really feel every crash, every near miss. It's physical in a way that a lot of slashers just aren't anymore. As for the tone, it's more serious than you'd expect from Williamson, but the DNA of his writing is still there. Sharp dialogue, snappy character moments, and a third act twist that's timely. Let's just say that. Some people love the twist, others not so much, but personally I thought it worked, especially considering when the movie was released. You'll understand what I'm saying after you watch it. If you're a fan of Scream, Hush, or tight home invasion horror with a modern twist, Sick is 100% worth your time. It's lean, mean, and doesn't overstay its welcome. One of the better slashers we've gotten in the last few years, and one that totally deserves more love. One Bedroom is the hidden gem on today's list. It's a slow burn psychological horror film that takes the nightmare of apartment living and cranks it up to an extreme level. If you've ever worried about thin walls, strange neighbors, or weird rules in your lease agreement, this movie is going to make you feel a whole lot worse about all of it. The story follows Sarah, a young woman who moves to Los Angeles looking for a fresh start and lands what seems like the perfect apartment in a quiet complex. At first, everything feels normal. There are friendly neighbors, community barbecues, people waving hello in the hallway. But it doesn't take long for Sarah to realize that this building has some very strict rules about community, and breaking those rules comes with consequences. Do people call it 1BR or one bedroom? 1BR sounds a little too weird, so I'm just going to call it one bedroom. What makes one bedroom so unsettling is how gradually the tension builds. It starts with little things, the strange noises in the night, neighbors who seem a little too invested in everyone else's business, and a general feeling that something about this place isn't quite right. And before long, that uneasy atmosphere turns into full-blown psychological horror as Sarah discovers just how controlling and disturbing this community really is. This is basically The Invitation mating with Rosemary's Baby. It has that same creeping paranoia where everyone around the main character seems normal on the surface, but there's a constant feeling that she's trapped inside something far more sinister than she initially realized. And it's got the Stepford Wives energy as well, with the way the perfect community slowly reveals its darker side. Nicole Bryden Bloom does a great job carrying the film as Sarah, making you feel every ounce of her confusion, fear, and desperation as things spiral further out of control. The movie keeps the setting mostly contained within the apartment complex, which adds to the claustrophobic feeling that there's nowhere safe to run. All in all, One Bedroom is a seriously underrated thriller that's well worth adding to your Peacock watch list. So if you made it through this list and you're still hungry for more horror movie recommendations, first off, I don't blame you, and you can actually click this video up here for more suggestions from the free service Tubi, or show some love to this underrated video on my channel to give it a little boost in views. It's been fun hanging out with you fellow dedicated horror fans. This has been Nonstop Horror. My name is Cameron. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.